Welcome into the High Noon Report for a Monday afternoon. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday, noon till whenever. I'm very upset. I can't get my camera. My camera doesn't look right. The camera doesn't look right today. It's way too close. I don't know. I got to learn how to control my camera. I don't know how to do it. Anyway, welcome to the show. Here's what the show is. It's every Monday through Friday at noon. Everything you need to know about the world. Okay, I'm going to give you the headlines, the hot topics, the current events, everything that people are buzzing about. My great fear for you is that somebody's going to come up to you today at some point, whether it's in line at 7-Eleven, maybe while seated at the Starbucks, wherever. I don't care. I don't know your life. Or somewhere, someday, I don't want anybody coming up to you going, hey, did you hear about? And then you're like, no, I didn't hear about that. And then they're telling you about it. Because they don't know. They don't, people are boring. People aren't, I like to think that I'm terrible at just about everything. I am good. We all know of my mythological prowess at the sport of mini golf. I am, some say, best there ever was. I'm good at that. I'm also good at sizing people up. And I'm also good about caring. And I care about you being embarrassed and your time being wasted by some boring guy. So here's what happens. In a fast-paced way, I'm going to give you everything, all the trends, all the hot topics, the current events, the headlines. But we don't do that first. The first thing that we do is we take a look back on time. On time? Oh, geez. Already. Too early for this. We take a look back. We do a segment we call Erstwhile on this day, where we take a look at the events that have helped shape this day, or at the very least our perceptions of it. Then we go into the birthdays, talk about people who were born on this day. Then we mourn some of the passings. Mourn? I don't know. We sit in judgment. That's for sure. We call that segment Heaven and Hell. We give you people who died on this day, and then we take a look at their life and we decide, what do you think? Heaven or hell for this person? After we do that, after I feel we've got a good 30,000-foot view of what this day has represented, then we move forward into the events that are shaping this very episode of September the 25th. All right, so if you're with me, that's how we do it. All right, small talk segment. That's right at the top, a little small talk. How was your weekend? Mine was great. I told you it was a big anxiety weekend. Oh, God. Kids' homecoming weekend, so we had multiple high school football games, and then we had dances, and then we had all kinds of shopping, and oh my God, it was wonderful. It was great. By the way, before we get too far downstream, today's show is brought to us by our executive producer, Peter L. That's right, Peter L. Thank you for dropping a little something in the tip jar. Peter L. is the reason that this very show is on the air today, because we exist exclusively by your gratuities. That's right. So if you feel so moved at some point during the show where maybe you want to support, by the way, we're going into year 3. So thank you so much to everybody who has supported us these past 2 years. If you want to support a form of talk radio that doesn't give a shit how you voted, because that's what this is. This is just like talk radio. This is just, let's just talk about things without being, what color did you vote? We don't do that. We don't do divisive politics. So drop a little something like Peter did. Peter, the people who tip during a show get to be the executive producer of the next day's show. An honor? I don't know. Maybe. It's fun, and I do appreciate it. So thank you, Peter L., the executive producer of today's show, and I'm going to leave that up. All right. How did the weekend go? Well, the weekend started out great, right? My son plays freshman football, and his team mollywopped the other team. His team's just, they're like a super team. They're just really good. They're 4-0 now, and they're 1-0 in district, and they played their arch rival, the next team over, and they just mollywopped them. So that was great. Then the varsity, we go to the varsity game. We go to the varsity game on Friday night. And oh my God, it was like the whole of Plano turned out. Plano East versus Plano is a pretty big rivalry. So we went to the varsity game, and the good guys won. We won. So that was, I'm like, I guess I'm a Plano East varsity fan, right? Because my kid will eventually be on that team, or at least he. And that's the plan. Who knows? Like, if he gets into theater or something, I totally support that. In fact, I'm trying to get him to do football and theater, and I have a myriad of reasons why this would be really good for him. But anyway, we'll move on. So I guess I'm a Plano varsity fan. So we won there, and then Saturday he had the dance. Oh, he got all dressed up in his suit. We had about 3 different screaming matches. Oh, seriously, in the hours leading up to the dance, it was like I was worried that there would be these bombs dropped on me like an hour before we're supposed to leave. He goes, I need to get a corsage or something, something like that, right? And I'd be like, what? You could have told. I assumed stuff like that was going to happen. We avoided that kind of stuff, but it was just fights like he's laying there watching college football, and I'm like, you better get in the shower. And he's like, I ain't taking a shower. I'm like, what? What do you mean you ain't taking a shower? So I took a shower last night. I go, you're going to a dance. You got a date. Take a shower. So he took a shower. That was a fight. Then there was fights over pictures. All right, I got to get some pictures of you in your suit. I ain't taking any pictures. What do you mean you ain't taking any pictures? I'll take one picture. And he took one picture, 2 pictures. I got him twice. Because he felt bad about being such a jerk. I laid the guilt on him. I'm like, these pictures are not for me. He's like, you're always taking pictures. You're so stupid with your pictures. And I'm like, these pictures are not for me. These pictures are for your mother. These pictures are for your grandmothers. I'm screaming in the driveway. So he's not smiling at any pictures. Anyway, it was a nice weekend. We had a good time. Although our major teams all let us down. Oh, yeah. He had to deal. His team won and his varsity team won. But his college team got beat on Saturday night, Notre Dame. His Cowboys lost. Oh, my God. He didn't take that well. He was very angry. He was very angry about the Cowboys yesterday. And, of course, the Bears, of which he says to me, why did you make me a Bear fan? Why did you do this to me? Which I love. Because he's right. Hey, some old people did it to me, and now I'm doing it to him. He can't help. He's a Bear fan now. He's got to just sit in the garbage for life. And he's a Cowboy fan. He's a Cowboy fan and a Bear fan. Oh, my God. All right, folks, what do you say we get started here? Let's start the show. I hope your weekend was as eventful and fun as mine was. Thank you to everybody who is joining us today. There's Peter. There's Peter, my executive producer right there in the chat room. All hell, the king of the chat room. Peter L. in charge. Look at him. We got Al in the chat room. We got Leslie in the chat. Who else do we got? Let me get the chat so that I can see it. I can't see it. My girl, April. We got Jen. Byron, of course. I take Byron for granted. Byron and Jeff. Joel. Look at Joel hanging out. Leslie C. KB. All right, folks. It looks like we got a full house. Everybody's comfortable. Let's get started. Let's talk about what's happening today. Today is the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran. Hold on. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. And I'm worried that sometimes is now. And we're good. Okay. I just put the wrong date in the headline. And I thought, oh my God, I didn't do a whole high noon rundown for yesterday, did I? No, I didn't. I just put the wrong date. God, that was close. All right, folks, it is September the 25th. It is the 268th day of the year. Did you know there's only 97 more of these till the end of the year? So get those New Year's Eve plans started. Let's get into a little segment now we like to call Erstwhile on this day. Quick look back at all the events that have shaped our perception of what this day has meant throughout history. Let's get started. On this day in 1906, Leonardo Torres Quevedo. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. I bet I'm close, though. Leonardo Torres Quevedo demonstrates the telequino in the Bilbao Abra. That's in Spain. So this dude, Leonard, we'll just call him Leonard. Leonard demonstrated the telequino for the very first time. You know what the telequino was? It's the birth of remote control. That's right. Some Spanish dude in 1906. He created the first remote control. And here's what he did. He guided an electric boat from off the shore onto the beach. It had 20 people on board. He did it from a distance of 2 miles away. The invention of RC, radio control, on this day in 1906. On this day in 1912, Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism is founded in New York City. Oh, one of the great journalism institutions of our nation. You got your Columbia, you got your Northwestern, you got your Berkeley, you got your, these are the great journalism schools. You got your Michigan, you got your NYU. All right, happy birthday, Columbia School of Journalism. On this day in 1974, Dr. Frank Jobe performs the first ulnar collateral ligament replacement surgery. Boy, that doesn't really roll off the tongue now. You know what does? Tommy John. That's right. Tommy John surgery was invented on this day when it was performed on class. Who was the first person to receive Tommy John surgery? Tommy John is correct. That is right. Tommy John. That's why we call it that. 1974. On this day in 2018, Bill Cosby is sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison for aggravated sexual assault. So that was what, 3, 4, 5 years ago? What? Isn't he out? Like, does anybody know Cosby? Like, his name is garbage, right? Like, his name in the public sphere is absolute garbage. But is he just out, like, walking around? He's just out being Bill Cosby, like, in his neighborhood? Is he, like, exiled to some, like, fancy rich people neighborhood where he's lived for the last 50 years with Camille, his tortured wife? I don't know. Bill Cosby, on this day in 2018, he was sentenced to a bunch of years. Didn't he go home? What? Didn't he get released? I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. Fall from grace, one of the great fall from graces, probably the biggest. I think Bill Cosby might be the biggest because of what he represented in the 1980s and what he represents in the year 2023. Bill Cosby, bigger than O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson is 2, Lance Armstrong is 3. What other falls from grace? There's a bunch of big ones. Anyway, moving on. That's going to do it. That's going to do it for Erstwhile on this day. Not a whole lot of stuff today. I know it's just kind of one of them days. Wan'em. They say it's their birthdays. Let's go through some birthdays here. These are people born on this day. First and foremost, born on this day in 1944, happy birthday to film actor Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas. You know, I stopped on this one. I was like, Michael Douglas. How do I feel about Michael Douglas? What is my feeling? He's one of these guys that has just always been around. I don't think I've ever really offered a take on Michael Douglas, so I had to think about it. I had to think. Has he ever done anything that made me go, ugh? What do I know about Michael Douglas? His son, Kirk Douglas. Romancing the Stone, I love that. Wall Street, Gordon Gekko, so good in that, right? War of the Roses, right? So I'm thinking, I'm running through it, and then I'm like, didn't he get he got venereal disease in his mouth or his throat from that sexual act? That was interesting. Okay, so I came down. I like Michael Douglas. Happy birthday, Michael Douglas. That's how I came down. He's a cool guy. He's cool. Michael Douglas is cool. I was trying to think, is there anything he's ever done that has made me go, I hate that guy? And no, not really. Not really. Also born on this day, let's go to 1949. Happy birthday to Anson Williams, better known to those of us in Generation X as Patsy Weber. Patsy Weber. Oh, I skipped over one though. I wanted to do this one. Happy birthday, born on this day in 1947. How about Miss Cheryl Tiegs? Cheryl Tiegs was a supermodel back in the day. She's born on this day in 1947. Take a look at her now. What do you say? Let's see what Cheryl Tiegs is repping today. She looks pretty good. I don't think that's her today, though. 1947, so she would be 73, 74, I don't know, 76 today? 75, 73, 76. She'd be 76 today. All right. Yeah, that's probably what she looks like, Cheryl Tiegs. Was she the first supermodel? She's the first one that I recognize because she seems, once the word supermodel started being thrown about and applied to other women, Cheryl Tiegs was already the grande dame of supermodels. So I think she has to be a supermodel, maybe the first. There she is. All right. Happy birthday, Cheryl Tiegs. Good for her. Good for her celebrating that birthday. Good genetics, she's a beautiful woman. What do you expect? Let's see. Who else is having a birthday today? Born on this day in 1951. Here we go. Here's a big one. This guy. This just saw him in a movie on Saturday night. It's Mark Hamill's birthday. Mark Hamill. Now, Mark Hamill is one of these unifying characters between me, my generation, Generation X, and my son, who is 14 years old, who is Gen Z. My son. Okay, so so after he went to his dance on Saturday, we came back home and we watched a movie Saturday night. We watched The Machine with Bert Kreischer because he likes Bert Kreischer. He thinks Bert Kreischer's funny. Most 14-year-olds do. I think Bert Kreischer's funny. I think Bert Kreischer's very funny. But it's the movie about Bert Kreischer is a stand-up comedian who has a stand-up story that he tells called The Machine. And it's about how when he was 22 years old, he went to Moscow on a student exchange trip, and he got involved with the Russian mafia. And it's a comedy bit. It's one of his staple comedy bits. They turned it into a movie. So the movie's called The Machine, and we're watching it. In the movie, Mark Hamill plays Bert Kreischer's father. And when Mark Hamill is introduced, my kid, my 14-year-old kid, like I was like, check it out, it's Luke Skywalker. But my kid was like, as soon as he started talking, oh my God, Dad, he is just such the Joker. He will always be the Joker. And I go, dude, the Joker? You know, because for his generation, that's who Mark Hamill is. He's the animated voice of the Joker for the last 20 years. And you know how big those Joker comic books and those Joker cartoons are. So to him, he's a superstar for that. And he's also much respect. Like he recognizes that he's Luke Skywalker. And that's like, much bow down. I get it. But Dad, he's the Joker. So Mark Hamill has really done this interesting thing where he's iconic to me and my generation, then took like the millennials generation off. Like Mark Hamill wasn't doing a lot of movies in the 90s. He wasn't like, look, the whole reason he started doing the Joker in the 1990s or whenever he started doing it was because he wasn't getting work anywhere else. That just happily turned into something that's quite lucrative for him and has really, brought him back to a whole new generation. But anyway, it's his birthday. Luke Skywalker. My kid said Luke Skywalker and the Joker. That's pretty badass. That is pretty badass, Mark Hamill. That is pretty badass. Born on this day in 1952. How about Christopher Reeve? He's my Superman. Always going to be my Superman. He's my Superman. He was the last great Superman. Although I have never had any problem. Okay, so full disclosure, I'm a Man of Steel guy. That's my favorite superhero, right? I don't get into the whole DC versus Marvel. I enjoy both, and I'm not a dork, so I don't make that grand of a distinction between the two. But if you're like, okay, you got to line up behind one superhero, who would it be? Like for my kid, it would be Spider-Man. My kid loves Spider-Man. And I'm like, Spider-Man? Superman? Anyway, this is an ongoing argument that we have about. He doesn't respect Superman. And I believe that's because DC has failed to make a proper Man of Steel film. Anyway, Christopher Reeve, happy birthday. Love you, Christopher Reeve. You're the one who made me a Superman freak. And he fell off a horse and got paralyzed, and the whole country was like, oh, it's so terrible. And then he died. He died in 2004. Born on this day in 1958. Here's another badass guy. He ain't Superman, but he's a badass. Michael Madsen, born on this day, American actor and producer. Michael Madsen, of course. He's the big brother of Virginia Madsen. And let's see, what else is Michael Madsen? Michael and Virginia both went to my college, Columbia, Chicago. Very cool. Let's see Quentin Tarantino movies. That's really where we know Michael Madsen from. He's one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite actors to play the heavy or the tough guy. He's been doing it since Reservoir Dogs, right? Was he Mr. Black? He was the psycho. He's also in the universe of Quentin Tarantino films. He's John Travolta's brother. John Travolta from Pulp Fiction, right? So Michael Madsen is his brother. I don't think Michael Madsen's in Pulp Fiction, but he's in Reservoir Dogs. Does he die in Reservoir Dogs? I think he does. Is it Vic Vega? Which one is John Travolta? Is John Travolta Vince Vega or is he Vic Vega? I don't know, whatever. One of them's Vic, one of them's Vince. Whatever. Michael Madsen, happy birthday. Love Michael Madsen. Every Quentin Tarantino movie is so cool. Born on this day in 1961, born on this day. It's a happy birthday to Heather Locklear. That's right, the old Gen X babe, Heather Locklear. Heather Locklear was so big. She was on 2 shows at one time once. She was on 2 major shows. Wasn't she on? She was on TJ Hooker and then Dynasty at the exact same time. It was TJ Hooker that Heather Locklear was on because a lot of people are like, she was on Fall Guy. And I'm like, no, that was Heather Thomas. Heather Thomas was the Heather Lock. We had 2 of them. I always tell you how Hollywood keeps one in reserve. Hollywood developed the Heather Locklear and they needed a spare. So they developed a Heather Thomas. And then Heather Thomas was put in a holding pattern on the Fall Guy, right? And then Heather Locklear became like the bigger star. Heather Locklear is actually trending today because apparently here on the eve of her birthday, she went out in public and everybody's like, ooh, oh, she's got a big, heavy, big face. There she is. That's she was photographed out in public the other day. Heather Locklear, she is, 61 years old today? 60, 62, 60, I don't know, 62, something like that. She's born in 1961. You people do the math. Here's what I'm going to say about Heather Locklear. Heather Locklear is a beautiful woman. There's nothing wrong with the way she looks right here. Is it shocking to see Heather Locklear look this way? Well, yeah, especially if you imagine her as, the girl from Dynasty, or the super hot cop, or the girl that was married to Tommy Lee, right? And Richie Sambora, and, that 90s rock groupie girl. But here's what I think Heather Locklear did wrong. Because as I say, look, hey, leave it to a middle-aged fat white man who's single to tell Heather Locklear, a classic beauty, what she did wrong. But I'm going to tell her anyway, because that's what I'm here for. Heather Locklear is making the Madonna mistake, right? It's a terrible mistake. A lot of women do it. Helen Mirren should be who you try to emulate as an aging beauty. The problem, I think, with Helen Mirren is that she wasn't as iconic a beauty when she was a beauty as, say, a Madonna or a Heather Locklear, right? We really only came to appreciate Helen Mirren as this great actress when she was in her 40s, right? When she was a beautiful woman in her 40s. And then people went, hey, did you ever see her in the 70s? Or have you ever seen Caligula? And then you're like, holy crap, Helen Mirren was gorgeous. But she wasn't a big star when she was gorgeous. She became a big star a little bit later. But Helen Mirren aged properly. See, here's what Heather Locklear is doing wrong. Heather Locklear is still wearing her hair like she did back when she was 22 years old. Madonna's doing the same thing. Madonna is still trying to look like she fits in with the club kids, and she shouldn't. Madonna should look like a sophisticated, elegant woman. That's hot too. That's really hot. Just look at Helen Mirren. There's a number of other aging women in Hollywood who are doing it properly. But Heather Locklear, she seems like, she tried to be hot. She tried to stay 28-year-old Heather Locklear on the arm of Richie Sambora or whoever it was that she was with, right? So anyway, it's her birthday. I think she still looks fine. She's Heather Locklear, man. Those are good genetics. Those are going to hold up. Cut the hair. Wear some Hillary Clinton business suits, but maybe undo a couple of buttons and push them up. There's ways for her to still look hot because she's a beautiful woman. It's sad. It's sad when you look at her and you go, oh, she's still trying to be 30. She's still trying to be 28. Happy birthday, Heather Locklear. I meant that with love. All right, who else is having a birthday today? A couple more. Born on this day in 1962. Here's one of my favorites. I love her so much that I hate her guts. That's how much I love her. I hate her guts and I love her. Happy birthday to Ada, or is it Aida Turturro? She was Janice Soprano. Oh my God, there has never been a more loathsome character in television than Janice Soprano. The daughter, the con woman, BS artist, grifter sister of Tony Soprano. Oh my God, that I hate Janice. Oh my God, was she the worst. And then at some point I realized, holy crap, this is an incredible performance being turned. This woman, Aida Turturro, I don't know why she's not a bigger star. That's an incredible performance. You know how I know this? Because I've since seen her in other things where she is playing a totally different character than Janice Soprano, and I love her. For instance, she's in What We Do in the Shadows. She plays Nandor's half werewolf girlfriend, and she's very funny. Janice Soprano, as portrayed by Aida Turturro, having a birthday today. I love Aida Turturro. She's good. She's a really good actress. Born on this day in 1965, no tipping Scottie Pippen. Screw that guy. Born on this day in 1968. I was trying to come up with a rhyme really quickly, but it's Will Smith's birthday. Another guy. Are we still ignoring Will Smith? Hasn't been a year, has it? It hasn't. It hasn't been a year. But we've almost totally forgot about Will Smith, right? Haven't we? You remember the day after Will Smith slapped Chris Rock and then he was banned from the Oscars forever? Do you remember what I said? I just want to remind you because we're probably about 5 months out from the Oscars, which airs on television, network television, which is a dying medium, which will do anything to create some kind of an exclusive buzz that will have people turning up, right? Watching, ratings, all very important. I said the day after, I said, oh, yeah, sure, they're going to suspend him forever. And then he'll be on the broadcast next year. Will Smith will be on. It's his birthday. Remember, you think I'm crazy? You ain't been mad at Will Smith in a long time. We're completely over it. And it's going to be the kind of, isn't it wonderful how they've welcomed him back? I predicted this from the beginning. Will Smith punches, slapped Chris Rock in the face. Chris Rock doesn't even come up with any truly memorable comedy from it. This whole thing. Maybe here's what they do. Here's what I say they do. Because, he's banned from the Oscars for 10 years. No, he's not. You say that because you had to in the moment, because there were a bunch of people on social media going, he should be banned. And you gave in to the mob. That mob doesn't know that mob is chasing their tail. They don't know the first thing about nothing. You're going to have Will Smith on because it's going to benefit you. Will Smith make it? They'll leak it too. The whole thing will be Will Smith. Oh, it's been rumored that he's going to do something. That's what it'll be, and people will tune in. It's all about that's BS. Will Smith is fine. Nobody cares. He did an asshole thing, and you know what? We're humans. We get over it. Sometimes people do a-hole things. And although we're going to ban him for 10 years, we get over it. Will Smith is fine. Happy birthday, Will Smith. I don't care. I watched something with Will Smith. He did something new. And I'm watching it and I'm like enjoying it because he's Will Smith and he's enjoyable. It's why he got to be Will Smith in the first place. And I'm watching it. I go, oh, yeah, we're supposed to hate on him. And I'm like, I'm already invested in this. I'm going to keep watching. And I watched it. Happy birthday, Will Smith. Born on this day in 1968. Born on this day in 1980. T.I., American rapper, songwriter, producer, and actor. Don't know anything about T.I. My partner Kelly likes T.I. a lot. Born on this day in 1983, Donald Glover. Oh, is he a superstar? Ooh, this is the rare situation with a guy where you've identified early on that he's got exceptional talent. I'm going to draw a correlation. Orson Welles. This is just like Orson Welles. We identified Donald Glover very young as being, wow, something going on here. And now he is just in this period of his creative where he's established himself as a tastemaker, as a trendsetter, as someone who's at the top of influence as far as our culture goes in music, comedy, television, all of that stuff. And he's not cashing in. That's kind of the cool thing about it. He's really just owning and creating his own stuff. He's putting it out there. Donald Glover. I can't wait to see what this guy kicks out in the next 10 years or so. The great Donald Glover, born on this day in 1983. A true innovator, a true genius, a true can-do-it-all, 5-tool star that we are watching in the absolute prime of his career. Happy birthday, Donald Glover. Born on this day in 1993. He almost made a nice catch in the end zone. Brandon Cooks, American football player, Dallas Cowboy. Brandon Cooks. Happy birthday. Look, that was a very difficult game to watch yesterday. It was, my kid was having the Bears game and the Cowboys game were on at the same time. So I had a laptop on with headphones and my son was watching the Cowboy game seated next to me on the TV. And we were just going back. It was just misery. We were both just like screaming at each other. I at least understood what was about to happen to me. I was prepared. I knew going into the Chiefs that it was going to be bad. He didn't. He figured, but I told him on Friday, and this was another argument that we had. Said on Friday, he goes, we're going to hang 50 on him. He was very confident. And I said, we got to watch out for a trap game. I go, this could be a trap game. Everybody takes the Cardinals for nothing. Cardinals are playing at home. The Cowboys are coming in. Look, the Cardinals may not win another game all season, but beating the Dallas Cowboys, a team that everyone says is, tops in power rankings, they're top 10, aren't they? Top 5, I think. This is a big season-defining win for them. So there you go. It was a trap game. Why do you say that? You hate the Cowboys. I don't hate the Cowboys, man. I'm just trying to prepare you that, true champions don't fall victim to trap games. Cowboys fell victim to a trap game. They got waxed by a totally inferior team, totally inferior squad. What are you going to do? Brandon Cooks almost made a gorgeous catch. I don't remember what that was. Was it in the end zone? Was he out of bounds? Did he not catch it? I don't remember. Did they call it? Wasn't that the one they called a touchdown? I don't know. Maybe. I watched so much football yesterday. So many plays that I had a problem with. I can't remember which ones were which, but anyway, I remember that. All right, let's talk about some people who have died. These are the people who've died. These are the people who have died on this very day. Let's go through them quickly and decide if they are in heaven or hell. Dead on this day in 1980, John Bonzo Bonham, drummer for Led Zeppelin. What John Bonham died in a not so, but there's so many rumors about John Bonham and how he died. But he died in a not so interesting way. I mean, he got really drunk and choked on his own vomit. Was he at Jimmy Page's house? I think he was at Jimmy Page's house. They had been recording. There are some interesting things. So John Bonham was woken up in the morning, or it should be said morning for him, which was about 2:00 in the afternoon. John Bonham was woken up at 2:00 in the afternoon and picked up by Led Zeppelin's people at his home in a limousine to take him to the recording studio where Led Zeppelin was practicing for their upcoming North American tour. That was to kick off in Montreal in a couple of weeks. John Bonham, before he got to the studio, he stopped. He ordered the driver to stop at a pub so that he could get some breakfast. Remember, it's 2:00. He's still eating breakfast. He just woke up. He's John Bonham. He walks into the pub and he orders 4 quadruple screwdrivers, 4 quadruple vodka screwdrivers, which is 16 shots of vodka. And he does them all. He does all 16 shots of vodka, gets back in the car, goes, performs. They record in the studio all day. Then after they're done, there's a little party. And Bonham's been drinking the whole time. After the studio session, Jimmy Page is like, was party at my house. So they go over to Jimmy Page's house because it's Led Zeppelin. That's what it is. You go there, you party at Jimmy Page's house. Apparently, Bonzo passed out and they put him in a bedroom. They leaned him on his side. And then he went to sleep for 12 hours. When they went to check on him in the morning, he was dead. He had asphyxiated on his vomit. Crazy. Is he in heaven or hell? John Bonham. John Bonham's in heaven. He's a big old lovable party boy. John Bonham. Dead on this day in 1980. Led Zeppelin drummer. Dead on this day in 1988. Billy Carter. That's right. Billy Carter. Brother of President Jimmy Carter. Billy Carter is an interesting person because nobody knows the real Billy Carter. There was a narrative and there was a framing put around Billy Carter that was interesting. And Johnny Carson played a very big role in what the public perception of Billy Carter is. Billy Carter, the brother of President Jimmy Carter, is known as a big oaf, a big dumb alcoholic, goofy Southern hillbilly. You know, this was before the Republican Party had truly taken over the South. The Republican Party painted everybody from the South as a big, dumb, redneck hillbilly, and Billy Carter was the poster boy for that. Billy Carter, they created a monster out of him, out of this image of the drunken hillbilly to embarrass Jimmy Carter. That ain't the facts of Billy Carter at all. Billy Carter is considered by many, especially the people who knew him and worked with him, to be a bit of a genius. Billy Carter took over the Carter family peanut business in 1970 and turned it from almost bankrupt into a $5 million per year peanut. While Jimmy was off, in the governor's show, or not, he wasn't even governor yet. He was just, running around being a politician. It was Billy Carter who turned the Carter peanut family business into a big enough juggernaut that it could support a presidential run. That was Billy Carter. Billy Carter was the guy who loaned his likeness to a beer. That wasn't his beer. This idea that Billy Carter was making beer in his garage was ridiculous. That was a company that came to him. He actually pitched it. He said, look, why don't you create a beer? I'm known. They have all these pictures of me out there. I drink Pabst Blue Ribbon. Well, what if there was a beer called Billy? We could say that it's mine. He made so much. He was a smart guy. But, painting the president's brother as this, top tier operator who was obviously a functioning alcoholic, because he was drunk all the time. There's a lot of alcoholics who are successful. Anyway, I always thought that was interesting about Billy Carter. The truth behind Billy Carter. He wasn't some big, dumb, inbred redneck oaf. He was actually a really smart businessman. He was a really crafty operator who many say behind the scenes was one of the guys who got a guy elected president. Certainly got him elected governor. Billy Carter was behind the scenes on all that. But, what do we know? What do we know, the people watching Johnny Carson, right? Well, Johnny Carson's going to tell us who this guy is. And Johnny Carson told us that he was a big, dumb inbred. Because he also looked goofy. He looked funny. But anyway, that's, what we are programmed to believe and what the reality of life is, affects Billy Carson. He went with it, though. He was like, look, I can't stop this, so I'm going to go with it. And whatever. Let's see. Who else? Where's Billy Carter? I think Billy Carter's going to heaven. I think he's going to heaven. Jimmy's certainly going to heaven. And I bet you Jimmy's going to have some influence. Although, wait. Jimmy's still alive. Billy's dead. Billy died of cancer in 1951. Or not at 51 in 1981. Something like that. I don't know. Anyway. And we'll put him in heaven. Here's someone we're not putting in heaven. Klaus Barbie. German SS captain known as the Butcher of Lyon. Yeah, I'm sorry. Klaus Barbie's going to hell. Dead on this day in 2003, George Plimpton. George Plimpton, the author. God, this guy was a D-bag. But interesting, like as far as authors go, George Plimpton was such an elitist, snobby. Ugh. But George Plimpton was a writer, and he had a way of getting himself dropped dead center into the stories that he was covering. My favorite example of it is Paper Lion. Have you ever seen the movie Paper Lion, starring Alan Alda as George Plimpton? George Plimpton was writing, this was late 60s. He was writing a story for Sports Illustrated about being a quarterback in the NFL. And he convinced the Detroit Lions to allow him, Sports Illustrated writer George Plimpton, to come to camp and try out for the quarterback position of the Detroit Lions. They ended up making a movie about it, starring Alan Alda, Paper Lion. It's a very good movie. It's a fun movie. What do I know? I was probably 6 watching it, because there was only 3 channels. But I enjoyed it. Paper Lion, George Plimpton, you're in hell, though, because you're an elitist son of a bitch. Dead on this day in 2005. How about Don Adams? Maxwell Smart. He's in heaven. Come on. Maxwell Smart, Don Adams. Inspector Gadget. Huh? Well, no, Inspector Gadget is not Matthew Broderick. Inspector Gadget is Don Adams. He's in heaven. Get Smart. He's the guy from Get Smart. And finally, dead on this day in 2016, he is certainly in heaven, if not for any other reason than his fabulous iced tea and lemonade concoction. Arnold Palmer goes to heaven. We're going to put him in heaven. He seemed like a nice guy. All right, there you go. What do I know? I don't know golf. He was an old man. He was always nice on TV. I'm putting him in heaven. You people take it up with management. I don't know what to tell you about this. All right. That's going to do it for all of the events that have helped shape our perception of this day. And now it's time for us to jump headfirst into all of the events that will shape our perception moving forward. I don't know. I ran out of things to say there. A reminder is please support the show. Today's executive producer, Peter L., helped out the show. He tipped on Friday, so he gets the exec producer label today. Who's going to get it tomorrow? Oh, all the kids are clutching their pearls, worried about it. Kids wearing pearls these days? I don't think so. All right, today, the big story. The Writers Guild of America and the producers have seemingly settled upon some kind of arrangement. It looks like the writers' strike will end. This was the big one. The writer's strike is the big one, not the actor's strike. My favorite actors, I can't stare at them. You would just be staring at your favorite actor going, I'm really not interesting without writers' words. Writers are the important ones to things getting back to normal. Writers create it all. They start out with a blank piece of paper and they go, you want the most mind-bending friggin' episode of your favorite show? All right, I'll get on that. That's the writer who does that. Let's be honest about the actor's strike, okay? The actor's strike was nice in that it helped the writers getting what they deserve. I'm not going to say what they want. I'm going to tell you what they deserve because it's a shifting industry. And these people are being exploited because of the shifting industry, right? There are ways that the producers are making money off of the things that they've created, in addition to what they've agreed upon. Contracts agree that we will make money off of your creation in this way. And when we make money in it off this way, you will make this much off of that as well. That's the agreement. The shit doesn't exist without the person's brain who put a blank piece of paper together and then filled it with words. That's the agreement. But we live in a new world with streaming and all that stuff, and they are exploiting the shit while paying them less. So I'm on the side of the writers, always have been. The actors, however, You people, CGI is coming for, AI is coming for you, actors. Nobody gives a shit about that. You people are just trouble. The only reason you're attractive, you look good on film, that's it. We're going to be able to make, I don't know if it's going to be clones. I don't know if it's going to be AI. Actors are going to become irrelevant. Writers are not. And don't tell me about how AI can write a script. Yeah, AI can write a garbage script. Humanity is what creates these magic scripts. Humanity, understanding one another, the nuances of one another, all of the things that an AI computer-generated script can't do. So please stop it. The great shit is always going to come from human beings, tortured, ugly, underpaid, underappreciated artists who are going to do this. So this is great news. It's a deal, says the headline. WGA and the producers reached tentative agreement to end the writers' strike. Picketing has been suspended. Okay, that's good. So now the actors are going to be like, well, what about us? And honestly, I don't give a shit. You people are overpaid and pampered. I'm just glad that the writers' rooms are now taken care of. Bob Menendez. Bob, remember that. His name is Bob. He's been going by Bob his whole life. Today he was referred to as Roberto Menendez. He's, of course, the piece of garbage Democratic senator from New Jersey who is now indicted for the second time in his tour as senator from New Jersey. He's garbage. He's been garbage for a long time. The Democratic Party tried to sideline him years ago, but the dude keeps getting reelected because you people are morons. So he did a press conference. He's, all of these charges that he's like in the back pocket. Egypt, and he was getting all this money from these Egyptian businessmen. He's a piece of garbage. He sold out America. He needs to be gone now. But I don't know. We're keeping brain dead people around like McConnell, who's literally freezing up and having mini strokes on live TV. So maybe we let the criminal stay too? Come on. Jeez, we got George. You know who's defending Menendez? George Santos. George Santos held a press conference today where like 5 people showed up because he's George Santos, and he defended Menendez as another example of Latino persecution in Congress. That's right. Bob Menendez, who has been high on Bob Menendez, I'm not at all Latino, for the last 40 years of his political life, today gave a press conference where he was Roberto Menendez. The Latino community is being persecuted by the justice system, and now he's going on. My God, this guy. They got to get rid of him. The governor, Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey, is like, dude, you got to get out. You got to go. So he gave a press conference today, not to address the charges, but to talk about how he's being persecuted because he's Hispanic. He's leaning into that. And he announced he's running for re-election. So if you want to support him, he has set up fundraising. There you go, you idiots. Go ahead. What? Can't the governor just go? No, the governor can't do that. The governor's going to, name his replacement. But they won't. I don't think the governor can tell a federally elected state official. He's not a state official. He's a federal official representing the state. I don't know how that all works. I don't know. FEMA. There's going to be a big FEMA test. We all need to be aware of this. It's going to be on October 4th. It's going to go to all our phones. Don't panic, you weirdos. Okay. They're going to promote the hell out of it. It's trending today. It's probably going to be, we're going to all know about the FEMA test, but some of you morons, I don't know. They're going to test here. All right. So here's what we need to look forward to. Okay. So this is what's going to happen. It's going to happen in the middle, 2:20 p.m. Is that what it says? That's a weird time. It's got to happen top of the hour. See, this is how I always freak out a little bit when I hear the tornado warnings, because I forget that it's like first Tuesday of the month, or whenever it is. I don't even know. That's part of the problem. So whenever I hear like the tornado alarms, I always go, oh God, here we are, World War III, right? Because I don't assume tornado, I assume nukes, because I'm Gen X and I grew up in the 70s. So it's like, here they go. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And then I look at the clock. And I look at the clock, and if it's top of the hour, bottom of the hour, I'm like, okay, this is scheduled, because there's no way if we get attacked, or if a real tornado is rolling through, the real tornado is going to roll through at 1:13 in the afternoon. And the alarms will go off at 1:13. The alarms are going to go off at 1 right there. It's not going to come right through it. So that's one thing. I also do that with breaking news banners on the news. Like if I got the TV on in the background and I'm not really paying attention and I look up and it says breaking news, but then I see that it's like top of the hour. I'm like, oh, fuck you. It's not breaking news. It's developing news. News rarely breaks right at the top of the news. Stop it. I hate that. All right, here's the FEMA story. FEMA plans to test National Alert System on October the 4th. Get ready for an alert on your cell phones, televisions, and radios on October the 4th at 2:20 p.m. See, that's a dumb time. 2:20. If I forget about this and these things all start going off at 2:20, I'm thinking, okay, this is real because that's a random time. I mean, I guess it's kind of rounded off that it's 2:20. It's not 2:21 or 2:19, but still. Why would they choose 2:20? Why not just 2 o'clock straight up? Cell towers will broadcast the test for approximately 30 minutes. All wireless phones should receive the message only once. Oh, that's not going to happen. There's going to be stories of people, my phone went off every second for 3 days. There's going to be somebody who's going to have that problem. We don't know why we sent this one individual cell phone in Wichita, Kansas, 10,000 alerts. We do apologize. People with cell phones will get the message that reads, "This is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed." Phones with the main menu set to Spanish will display, "Esta es una prueba del Sistema Nacional de Alerta de Emergencia. No se necesita." I can't do it. I tried to get through the whole one. I can't do it. I have ham-fisted menu Spanish knowledge. I can clumsily get through a mid to upper tier Spanish menu. But that's it. I can't do that. To help ensure that these alerts are accessible to the entire public, including people with disabilities, the alerts are accompanied by a unique tone and vibration. All right, so now I want the story of the person who's like, the tone gave me seizure, right? We're going to have seizure. I'm going to have a seizure. I'm just telling you now. See, here's one of the benefits to watching the show. You're going to hear about somebody it's going to be me. I'm just going to see where I can take this. When the tone goes off, I'm going to fake a seizure, and you guys are going to know because you're hearing me game plan this right here. I'm going to fake a seizure, but I'm going to live stream faking the seizure. Right? Wait, will I be able? Will these tones interrupt live streams? Huh? We should stay on the air that day. Typically, we go off the air at 2. Today, by the way, we're going off the air at 1:30. I'm sorry. Don't at me. I got a place to be. Typically, we go off the air at 2. Maybe on that day, we'll stay to 2:20 just to see what that's all about. Anyway, there you go. FEMA plans to do this 2:20 in the afternoon on October the 4th. It ain't real. Story out of Florida. This is a nasty one. Did you hear about the alligator that ate the lady over the weekend? Oh, my God. They got alligators eating homeless people now. Yep. Homeless lady in Florida. Apparently, she was sleeping in wetlands. And a giant 14-foot alligator. Why? See, how did Florida ever get settled? How did the people who moved to Florida just not wipe out all the alligators? It's a deal breaker for me. Oh, this house is beautiful and it's so affordable. Yeah, but there's alligators in the backyard. Yep. Nope. Sorry. Same with bears. I have a friend. I've told this story. I have a friend who lives in Wisconsin. He's got a whole bunch of bears on his property all the time, to the point where I was talking to him once and he was sitting in his driveway waiting to go into his house because there were bears in his driveway. I'm like, dude, move. You've got a wild killing machine. That's like a serial killer just being allowed to roam in the forest behind your house. You would move if it was a serial killer, but it's a bear. What's the difference? Well, if a serial killer sees you, he's going to chase you. He's going to kill you. Same with the bear. That was my thought. Anyway. I don't get it. So an alligator ate a lady in Florida. It was awful. She's a homeless lady. It ate her. Here's how they know it ate her. Because I'm sure that homeless people disappear all the time and they're just stripped by gators or whatever. But this gator was seen by a whole bunch of people just kind of walking down the street. Are you ready for this? With a human body in its mouth. Yeah, it had the homeless lady in its mouth and it's just walking down the street. They killed the gator. Again, I don't know why they killed the gator. Why they have to kill the gator? Well, probably because they had to get the body out of it. Yeah, you got it. Okay. But the gator didn't. Look, the gator did not do anything wrong, at least by our human understanding of what gators do. That's what they do. That's what they eat. They don't care about human. They don't. They're not subject to our laws, so they killed the gator. But I guess they killed the gator because they had to get the mouth. They had to get the lady out of the mouth. Anyway, all right. Here's another bizarre story. This one was a video. We're gonna watch this video. This is a terrible story. Let me tell you the origin for me on this story. So last night when I was going to sleep, I was just flipping through TikTok as I do now before I go to bed, which causes me to stay up a lot later than I should. And I saw this video, and it was a long video of a woman. Here, we'll grab it. I watched all 12 minutes of this video, and I didn't understand what was going on in the video. Hold on. There's the video. Okay. Yeah, we're going to watch this on YouTube. Hold up. Here we go. All right. So here's the video. Let me show you the video, and then I'm going to explain to you what's happening here. Ooh. Okay. So what you're going to see is a woman who was being followed. She ran into the woods, and a man caught her, and this man is now detaining her and calling the police. Okay, so let's see if we can listen. Here we go. This is how I viewed it last night. I had no context for what was going on. I just understood that this woman was being detained by this guy who was calling the police.
I need to get away from you. No. No.
Here.
What did you have? What is wrong with you? I don't need help. I need to get away from you. No. No. This isn't normal. I don't care what anybody says. Can I please stand up? Okay. I'm not going to any jail. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not going anywhere. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What is wrong with you?
Okay, we're going to fast forward a little because this is like 12 minutes. Once you see how he manhandles her, here you
Get off of me! I can't breathe. I can't.
All right, so he's definitely detaining her. Let's see, he gets her up. Here we go.
The guns on me for existing. I didn't like your dress.
Here.
I'm gonna put my things together. You can watch me all you want. You can watch me all you want. That's not fair. And I didn't do anything wrong to get away from you. I don't understand. And I can't relax. You just got the guns on me for existing. I didn't like your group. Jesus.
All right, so let me fill you in now. Because I went to bed last night going, what the fuck is going on here? Wake up this morning and it's a story. I wake up the story. It's being reported by a number of different major publications. Here is the context that I lacked last night when I was watching this. What I told you is true. This is a woman who was chased down by this guy with a friend. He had a friend filming the whole thing. She was in a secluded part of the woods. She got out of her car. He tackled her, and that's where we start watching this, okay? This guy is an off-duty police officer. He is a police officer. So, you know, he's obviously detaining her in some sort of official capacity while they await for the other police to come. Now, here's the stuff that really makes this freaky. He's not just an off-duty police officer. He's her ex-boyfriend. He is married with children. She broke up with him. And he's afraid that she is going to, or at least this is how it's being reported. So he pretended, he spent a bunch of days laying the groundwork for getting her committed to an insane asylum so that if down the road she decides to tell his wife that he was having an affair, he can say, honey, she's crazy. She's been sent to an insane asylum and all this kind of stuff. None of that stuff was true. They called the police here. She was arrested. She was put in a rubber room for 5 days. And during the course of that, her family went and got an attorney, and they got her text messages. And in her text messages, this idiot cop the idiot cop showed text messages between her and him that got the authorities to say, okay, she should be committed. What he showed to get her committed was her talking about suicide, about killing herself, right? That's what he showed the authorities. And the authorities said, okay, you have the right to go ahead. And if you can find her, we can commit her. So he went and he got her, his ex-girlfriend who broke up with him. He got her committed. Remember, he showed a text about the suicide. While she was in there for 5 days, the investigation into him showed the context around the text message that he showed in order to get her committed. The context was not at all that she was threatening to commit suicide. That's just how he shared. He only shared that. I guess the greater context was about, him. He asked her, he started the conversation about at any point, she never said she was going to kill herself. She wasn't even talking that way. She was trying to get away from him. And he was doing all this. You need to go. Like, he was just out of nowhere. He said, you need to be committed, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, why? And he's like, because you might kill yourself. And she's like, I might kill myself to get away from you. Like, that was the context. It was crazy. So anyway, here, we'll stop sharing this. And I guess hold on. Let me show you how this ends. All right. Yeah, no. Boop, boop, sorry. Oh, what a frightening thing. She did absolutely nothing wrong. And here you go. This is the happy ending. They got married. Oh, no, they didn't. No, he's been arrested. They're bringing charges against him, his dumbass. Okay, it's the New York Post that posted his mugshot. So we're not going to be able to see it because then we're going to go through 10 minutes of pop-ups before we can actually scroll anywhere on here. Wouldn't it cue to me to think that it would just work when I just showed his picture with the applause? There he is. Ugh. Jeez Louise. Nope. Yeah, now it's not even. Anyway, doesn't matter. He's been arrested. I hate the internet. You know what? Seriously. Look. No, nope, not even trying to. Fuck it. We're not going to do it. He was arrested. There you go. That's all you need. He's no longer going to be a cop, and he's facing all kinds of terrible charges. Anyway, there you go. She is not crazy. The doctors say she's not crazy. The doctor's like, she's fine. Yeah. Anyway. All right. There you have it. What else happened over the weekend? Let's see. Yeah, I knew that. Where's the one that I wanted to do? I'm sorry. I will never use the New York Post for anything again. I just can't. This is like second time in a row I've tried to use one of their stories, and it's just pop-ups. You can't scroll. It takes forever. How about this Howard Stern versus Donald Trump kind of a deal going on here? Howard Stern, I don't know if you know this, but he was the subject of Donald Trump's ire in a 2 a.m. tweet on Saturday night into Sunday. I'm not entirely sure. So, a lot of people were interested in what Howard Stern might have to say in response on Monday because, I'll tell you, Howard Stern knows how to fight back. Play a little clip. Trump called Stern loser, irrelevant, ugly, all that kind of stuff. So here, let's listen to this. So here was how Stern fired back today. I'd love to see a pay-per-view debate between those two. Come on now. That would be pretty awesome. That would be pretty great. All right, here we go. Howard Stern this morning firing back after Trump criticized him over the weekend.
About me that I'm a broken weirdo and I'm ugly and all this kind of stuff and that I'm irrelevant or whatever it is. And so I was like, gee, what stirred this up? And then I put all the pieces together. So a couple of days ago, I went on the air and said that I'm woke. Now, I tell you the truth. I don't know what woke means, but to me, I said on the air, and by the way, when I said this on the air, I never ever thought anyone would care that I'm saying this. It shocks me how the dumbest shit that I talk about becomes somehow news. It's weird. But anyway, I said, well, I guess I'm woke because, I'm not mad at Bud Light for giving a transgender girl a can of Bud Light. I don't see the problem with that. They want to reach out to everyone. They want everyone drinking their beer. Doesn't impact me. I don't feel like transgender is being shoved down my throat at all. Honestly, I don't see any transgender people anywhere where I am. But I happen to say, I guess I'm woke because proudly I will say, I love the vaccine. I was the first one online Friday for it at CVS. I got it. I feel grateful to this country for providing vaccine to me. I feel protected by my country. I love gay rights. I support people getting ahead. I don't know. I like Social Security. I like people getting Medicaid. I don't know what woke exactly means, but I guess the opposite of woke to me is asleep, and I think I'm awake. This must have gotten Trump all charged up because at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, technically Sunday morning, he starts tweeting out Howard Stern is a broken loser, jerk off, not loyal, the usual, tirade. And I thought to myself, I'll tell you my thought on it was, what? Imagine you got to be the 45th president of the United States, and you're sitting and writing about Howard Stern, whether he's woke. All of a sudden Trump saw me being discussed on all his conservative media things, and he got charged up. And I'm
they're supposed to be talking about him. How dare you?
Yeah, right. I stole the excitement for a minute or two.
All right. Well, there you have it. Howard Stern responding to the Trump tweets. Oh, I had such high hopes for that. And it didn't really pan out. And Howard ain't Howard from 95. Howard's that guy. That guy is not the Howard from 95, which I guess maybe is the whole point. All right. Let's see here. We're going to wrap up the show actually earlier than I thought. I do apologize. I just had something come up that I need to handle, something that I was not expecting, but we're gonna get into that. Let's see here. What else am I going to work? Taylor Swift was at a football game yesterday. Apparently Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, who is it? Whatever. One of the Kelce's, the guy, the tight end. Oh God, I had to watch that entire game. It was the Taylor Swift game. It was like, whatever though. I mean, is she an item with this guy? I don't know. It seemed like it. She was sitting with his mom. His brother says that they're not, but then the game yesterday kind of disproved what his brother said. Who knows? Also, Sophia Loren slipped and fell. She, 89 years old, Sophia Loren, great Italian beauty, film actress. She slipped and fell. She's been hospitalized. Apparently she's doing well. She's now in her Swiss home. I didn't even know she was still alive, but there you have it, Sophia Loren. Speaking of somebody who I was well aware is still alive, because this is interesting news. We ain't heard much from Jamie Foxx lately, although if you watch NFL games, Jamie Foxx is doing a whole bunch of commercials. So, but I haven't noticed. I was trying to look and the commercial was half over. Does he move in the commercials or is he pretty much just standing there? I don't know. That's something to look for because the rumors are that he had a pretty severe stroke. He's home, he's back out, and the family's worried because apparently Jamie Foxx is going to get married. Yeah, he's got a girlfriend, and he's looking to settle down for the first time ever. He's never been married. Didn't know that. Long time. Or maybe he was married when he was very young. I don't know. I don't think he was because they're saying a long time confirmed bachelor who's never tied the knot. So I'm going to go with this is the first significant marriage, and his family is like, no, hold on. This is only because you almost died, and now this is maybe not the best choice. So there's a little bit of a thing going on there in the Jamie Foxx family. All right. Also, Dane Cook is getting married. Dane Cook is getting married too. He's married. Dane Cook is 52 years old, 52, 51, something like that. I don't know, whatever. He's marrying a 24-year-old girl. She's a fitness instructor because of course she is. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I'm sorry. We got to run today. We got extra things going on that just came up that I was not aware of, and I do apologize for that, but we got stuff we got to do here. We will do a Radio Misfits show tonight at 9:00. We're going to get into that. So back on a Monday, Radio Misfits with myself and James Parker. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for more of the top stories, headlines, and all of that stuff. Tip the show if you can. That'd be great. Love you guys. What else do I need to tell you? I think that's it. Okay. I got to go. Bye. Trained to be the best. I am on a never-ending quest. I can smile.